Hello and welcome back to another episode of Injustice For All MMA. My name is David, and this is for UFC 264, Poirier versus McGregor 2. Actually, Poirier versus McGregor 3. This will be a pretty short episode. We'll just get down to it. There are no injustices on the card, but there are some Fugazi scorecards. And I even got one wrong, so we'll start with the first one. Akhmedov versus Tavarez. I had it 29-28, Tavarez. This fight was a split decision, though. That's the weird part. We'll go to the judges. Ron McCarthy had it 29-28 for Akhmedov. Cologne had it 29-28 for Tavarez. And Mike Bell had it 29-28. The round in question for McCarthy seems to be round one. Now, in that round, Tavarez outstruck Akhmedov. Akhmedov got a takedown, but Tavarez got up almost immediately. There's nothing in that round that tells you that Akhmedov won that round. That's a really bad one. So honorable mention for honorable mention for McCarthy on that one. The next one is Maia versus Eye. I had it 29-28 Maia. And the judges had it a different way. They had it a little... It's a little spicy here. Now, Bird has it 29-28. I'll get to her in a second. Saul D'Amato has it 30-27. And Derek Clearly has it 29-28. Now, they had it correctly in terms of who won the fight. The issue here is, we'll start with Saul D'Amato. Saul D'Amato gave it a 30-27. Now, the rounds I gave to Maia were 2 and 3. He gave round 1 also to Maia, which is a little confusing. In that very first round, I got 2 takedowns. Technically, it's 1 takedown. There was this one weird takedown where she kind of lifts her leg up and Maia falls back. It's weird. I count it as a takedown, but objectively speaking, I'll say 1 takedown, but I got a takedown, the most obvious takedown, and she was outstruck, and Maia got outstruck by Eye. So that's what confuses me, because all 3 judges gave Maia that round. So that's where I'm kind of confused at. I'm a little confused there. Saul D'Amato got round 3 correct. Which was in that third round. It's kind of close on the feet. You give the edge to Maia. But she starts off really well in that round. And though I finishes very well, if you count the total numbers, it seems as though Maia hit Eye more than she hit her. We move to Bird now. Bird did the same thing. She also gave the first to Maia. I'm still confused on that. And Clearly gave the first to Maia. So it's weird. It's a weird one. It's a weird one. I want to give all 3 of them an honorable mention, because I don't think Maia won that first round. You know, you can argue the third. Personally, I wouldn't, because I gave the last one to Maia. But no, definitely not the first. Definitely not the first. So an honorable mention to Bird, Saul D'Amato, and Derek Clearly. All right, we'll go to the next honorable mention on the card. This one isn't really an honorable mention, but I'll still talk about it anyways. This was Condit versus Griffin. I had it 29-28 Griffin with a 10-8 in the a 10-9 in the first and the third round. The judges saw it the exact same way, except for Derek Clearly. Derek clearly gave all 3 rounds to Griffin. That I did not like, because in the second round, while yes, Griffin's output lowered, and if you look at the final stats, he had 2 more strikes than him. I guess technically he's right, but watching the fight, you know, we're not like counting meters, right? It's obvious that Griffin's output decreases and Condit is pushing the pace on him. It's obvious that Condit wins that round despite a 2-strike difference in the numbers there. So that's an honorable mention for Derek clearly. Honorable mention for Derek clearly there. We go to the next one where I want to give myself an honorable mention. In watching the fight, as soon as this fight is O'Malley versus Moutinho, in watching the fight, as soon as the first round ended, I was writing my pen and I put a 10-9, and I kept it that way, but I was thinking about hard, because O'Malley had outstruck Moutinho badly. This is shades of, I hate this reference, but shades of Holloway versus Cater, and another fight I'm forgetting a while back, maybe 3 years ago, where this fight was also stopped in a similar fashion, by the way, but it was on a fight night. But I felt as though this was in my head, it was close to a 10-8. Now, the second round is definitely not a 10-8. But the first was most definitely a 10-8. And I should have put a 10-8. It was just so wide. The gap was so wide in strikes. He outstruck him tremendously. So for that, I want to give an honorable mention to me for scoring that first round incorrectly. I gave it 10-9 for O'Malley. It should have been a 10-8, but I just want to give an honorable mention to me for that terrible scorecard. And then finally, the Poirier versus McGregor first round, I gave it 10-9 to Poirier. I'll explain that in a second. And Saul D'Amato gave it 10-9. Derek clearly gave it 10-8, and Kamijo gave it 10-8. Now, this is one of those things where these are one of these things I don't like, where certain fighters get 10-8s and certain fighters don't get 10. And I'm not saying this is a bias thing. That's not what I'm really saying. I'm just saying I've noticed that certain fighters will do this certain thing, a similar thing, and the scorecards will look different. And quite frankly, they should look different, because this, people got on Saul D'Amato last time for putting a 10-8 in that round 1 Chandler versus Oliveira, and we all correctly went, dude, that was a 10-9, because there was so much going on. It was very back and forth. There's no way that he gets a 10-8 for that round. And the same thing happens here, right? The fact that people aren't able to, and by people I mean Kamijo and clearly, aren't able to decipher multiple things in a round is a problem, because we've seen them score correctly fights where multiple things happen in a round. And so when people got on Saul D'Amato for the 10-8, rightfully so, and he thank goodness he put the 10-9 here, people have to get on Derek clearly and Kamijo, because while a lot of people are saying, look, that's a 10-8, that's really disgusting to just go, that's a 10-8, when it's not, because the fight starts off on the feet with Conor getting the leg kicks going. Okay, the boxing exchanges from both of them are fairly equal, and then it gets to the ground where Conor goes for a submission. Okay, he goes for a submission, doesn't get it. In fact, doesn't get it. Dustin ends up on top. Ground and pound. There's a moment where he gets up. Okay, Conor's landing, I believe, maybe 2 or 3 up kicks. He landed, let's say 2. I want to say he landed maybe 2 up kicks, 2 really good up kicks. There's also a part on the ground where he lands really nice elbows from the bottom. So off rip, if Poirier had finished that round on top, landing ground and pound, I could hear the argument, but no, because Conor is active from the bottom. Conor didn't just accept getting hit. Yes, he got hit a lot, which I understood, which I see why they gave a 10-8. But 100%, he is active from the bottom. They then get up. He then falls back down. It's not a knockdown. He falls back down, right? And via his leg breaking. But if you put that all together, it's a strong 10-8. It's a strong 10-8. There's no need for a 10. I'm so sorry. It's a strong 10-9, and there's no need for any judge to put a 10-8 at all. This is bad. This is basically 262 on steroids, where you're going, oh, because someone did something really big, it's a 10-8. That shouldn't be the case. Overall, it's a great card. Thank you for listening, and God bless.